What's happening, everyone? Today I'm taking quite a different approach to my usual uploads and doing more of a monologue style. What inspired this? Well, let's talk. So, let's talk. I've always been fond of this day because of the clear awareness it brings to mental health, but have never really had anything specific to say. This year is different. Over my Christmas holidays, I had a psychotic episode, and it was serious enough that I had to be taken to the hospital. I spent an evening there and had quite a life-changing experience. I want to talk about this because it's relevant to me, and I feel like I now have something to add to this ever-changing conversation. So, what exactly is psychosis? The word psychosis refers to the range of conditions that affect the mind, in which there has been some loss of contact with reality. Psychosis is characterized by significant changes in a person's perceptions, thoughts, beliefs, and behavior. However, the experience of psychosis varies greatly from person to person, and each person can have very different symptoms. That's why I believe it is important to share my personal experience for the sake of science and for everyone's awareness of mental health. It's hard to say where exactly my psychotic episode began. To what I remember, the biggest trigger was smoking weed. Unfortunate, but true. I smoked with my friends one evening, but this time was different. Things didn't seem quite normal. Anything anyone said or did began to have bigger meanings, even where they shouldn't. I was trying to decode hidden messages in everything. The night continued on in that strange fashion, and I couldn't sleep at all. I browsed the internet throughout the night, continuing to decode everything and anything. The next day, conversations with people became more and more challenging. I felt like I was speaking through a medium to people, and I was capitalizing every he and she that was said, as if we were speaking through God in our relative beliefs. I felt like I could decode a person's personality just by what they said and how they moved, but the hardest part was understanding myself. I was trying to associate everything that was said and done to myself, but everything that was said changed my perception of the seemingly consistent terms. The day dawned on and things became more and more overwhelming. Eventually, my family found that I had a great deal of trouble with basic communication and processing. My mom took me to the hospital, and I went along for the ride, expecting nothing was wrong with myself. In the hospital, things got interesting. I was admitted to the psych ward and put on a bed waiting to see a psychiatrist. On the hospital bed, I began to think I was becoming a monk. I closed my eyes and began taking in everything that was going on around me. I then began to think that the world was actually like the story of A Brave New World, where everyone had their assigned roles and I was there to find out mine. I would leave the hospital with my life plan determined and my destiny sealed. I saw the psychiatrist, then moved on. But I didn't leave the hospital. I continued to try and analyze everything, and things began to seem like the Matrix, and everyone working in the hospital were the agents. They could sense my every move and desire. I had to rid myself of all desires so I could join them. I continued like this for a while, and talked with more psychiatrists, trying to level myself up while ridding myself of all my desires. I then began to think that I was in a coma, and that I had to wake myself up, or kill myself to wake myself up from the coma. Very scary, and surreal. Throughout this whole time, I also developed a theory that DMT, an intense psychedelic and hallucinogen, was in the water. I thought that everything was happening because I was being drugged through the water system. Eventually, I was prescribed an antipsychotic and was taken home, where things continued in that strange fashion for several days. Every day following became more and more clear, and I was able to have more logical and sane conversations with everyone. Talking about it with my family helped a lot. While this all may seem very enlightening, I'm happy to be back to a more normal mental state. Luckily for myself, this whole experience wasn't overly distressing, which it can be for a lot of people. I would attribute this to my experience with psychedelics like shrooms and LSD. The experience was comparable, but I wasn't on any other drugs than coming off of weed. That doesn't mean you should jump on and go do these drugs. I felt as though they led me to this deranged mental state, where even basic things like walking from point A to B in the hospital were very challenging. I'm now working with a wonderful team of psychologists that specialize in early psychosis prevention, and my daily life is becoming much more bearable, and it continues to be easier to function. I am now able to process what happened and the relevance of it all to myself, in clear and concise ways. I now also believe that reaching these levels of thinking are possible without the use of drugs. Meditation and a clear mind are much healthier and sustainable ways to think in radical means, without putting yourself and others in danger. This video and monologue is something I'm very proud of, and it's one of the best things I've done in a while. I would like to thank everyone. My family, friends, psychiatrists, and everyone watching this video. Talking and sharing is a great way to balance ourselves and help each other. I started this video off by saying wubba-lub-dub-dub. It's a funny catchphrase from the popular TV show Rick and Morty, and it couldn't be more relevant to today. In the tongue of Birdman's people, it means, I am in great pain. Please help me. So to anyone saying wubba-lub-dub-dub in their own tongue, please have the strength to translate it with people that matter most to you. One conversation can easily change your life for the better. Thank you for listening, and please feel free to share this message if you think it could help anyone out. I'm including links in the description to more scientific and formal ways of describing psychosis. Till next time.